Smell me like a Hellcat.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Matt Chats. I am here with my longtime friend, Davey Owens. He is maybe second in the Big Brother kind of realm of things. He calls himself a super fan, but you know, he can't ever win an HOH competition to save his life. So Davey, welcome buddy. Missed ya. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for that. I guess real quick, who's your vote for Big Brother winning this year, since you brought it up?
Yeah, you know, I'm kind of hoping Christmas pulls out a win just because I think she got robbed the last season.
Yeah.
But, you know, I bet it's going to be, once again, probably Cody. I think it's his time to shine. Yeah,
I think Cody will too. It'd be great if Christmas can win for sure. But I also, I love Christmas, man. I'm ready for David to go, though. I'm more like, dude, at first I was like, no, go easy on him, guys. He's the rookie. But, like, he's messed up so many times that I'm like, okay, you got to go, dude.
Definitely. He's no all-star in my book.
No all-star. I could beat him.
So now that we know that Davey has a possible entry into the Big Brother house next season, Davey is a marketing extraordinaire. Currently, he's at Flywheel, which is based here in Nebraska as well, too. So, Davey, talk to us a little bit about your position at Flywheel and what all that you do for your current role.
Yeah, so I am the paid marketing strategist at Flywheel. So that's just like a really fancy way of saying that I run all of our like digital advertising, primarily focusing on Google, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, some LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're exploring other things like podcast sponsorships and stuff, but mostly your big like 4 or 5 social media marketing advertising platforms.
Nice. That is awesome. That's right up your alley. I'm sure it just fills the bucket right there for you. Sure. So when it comes down to enablement, obviously the series that we're doing right now is called Bridging the Gap. So we want to make sure that we're identifying how marketing strategy can bridge the gap with sales enablement and how these two entities can basically work together. So how do you currently strategize or work with your enablement partner at Flywheel?
Yeah. So real quick, I hope my volume is at a great level, talking level. I am talking quieter because I do have a sleeping baby upstairs, and my wife's across the table from me. So if I wake the baby, you're going to see me get punched in the throat. But to answer your question, so real quick, the idea of sales enablement was new to me coming onto Flywheel. I've only been at Flywheel now for May, June, July, August, like 4.5 months. So not very long. My background in marketing and advertising was really in like B2C and especially in like fashion and e-commerce. So coming on board at Flywheel, I had to learn a whole new like strategy and a whole new world and a whole new set of acronyms like MQLs and SQLs. And so that's kind of, that's where I started. And enablement is something that I think Flywheel does really well. I am not necessarily the person they go to for enablement. So hang on, audience. But we do have a great team that handles enablement. And really, I think for us, enablement is kind of a two-way street. And by that, I mean, no one in marketing pretends like we have all the answers, and no one on sales pretends like they have all the answers either. And that aspect, I think, kind of creates like a healthier dynamic than what I've seen or heard of other like B2B, especially SaaS departments when you look at marketing and sales. I think so for me, for advertising, it's like, I rely on a lot of different data that comes in, but to me, the best data comes directly from the sales team because they're the human connection to who our customers are and who I want to be reaching through my ads. So I rely on sales and the enablement team to really help guide like what ads are doing great, what they're seeing, what people are talking about, And that really helps me shape my budget going into every single month. And on the reverse of that, I think the sales team relies on what I'm doing and what I'm seeing on my side, like, if cost per clicks are dropping, if click-through rates are raising, if I'm seeing great conversions coming from like certain ebooks, I pass that information on to sales, and we just kind of keep the conversation fluid. We have lots of co-team meetings to make sure that that conversation is encouraged and happening frequently.
Yeah, I think that's huge, especially when you're diving into the marketing world. Having that transparent of what is working, what isn't working, and getting that frontline feel of, hey, this is what our customers want to see. This is how they're reacting great. And that's great. Like, that's huge. So
Yeah.
talk to me about, I know you've only been there for a little while, but talk to me about like that gold medal moment that you've had so far, where working with your enablement partner was a top hit or great success that you guys walked out of there saying, without you, I don't think we could have done, what we just executed on.
Yeah, I think that just happened actually in July. So for Flywheel, every July we have the Fly July sale. It's the biggest sale of the year, and at that point, I'd only been working there for 2 months, and our marketing director put me in charge of that project. We all have like our own projects that we own. And my project 2 months into it was, hey, you should own the biggest sale of the year 2 months in. So that was like terrifying for me, by the way.
No problem.
But so like what I did is I created like a small team of people like that have been there for years. I had our like sales enablement person on the team with me. I use a lot of the SDRs that we have at Flywheel to communicate with like what happened last year, what they saw happen last year, what they thought was successful from last year, what they thought failed last year, and just kind of like gathered all of the data and intel that I possibly could to help craft at least some of the direction for this year's sale, like especially around messaging. I think when it comes to what we offer, which is WordPress hosting, I think that the messaging could really get lost and muffled really easily to our customers, because we're not just targeting, like our demographics are not just like super, super experienced web developers. A lot of the time they're people like me who, as you know, Matt, from working together, it's like I build websites, I design websites, but I use WordPress and Divi, which are like, it's kind of drag and drop web development. So we have a lot of people, I think, that are the Davey web designer and developer, very phony baloney. So a lot of times, we have to make sure that what we're communicating is coherent across sales and marketing. Anyway, so kind of crafting a great team for the Fly July sale for this year, and just really understanding, again, like the previous successes and failures, and really staying in touch with the sales department and the marketing department and the sales enablement person throughout the month. And that really helped, each week, essentially Monday, starting the week off by looking at that data, looking at our metrics and saying, here's our KPIs, here's our OKRs. We need to shift some attention from this OKR into this one because this one's suffering. This one's at like 150% pace. So let's pivot to this one now and fix this guy. And really, I guess the end of that answer is, we had record-breaking sales in July for Fly July. I don't know if I can officially say like how much or whatever, but it was, I think, it was either the first or second highest grossing month in Flywheel history. So I was super stoked on that, obviously, and being the newbie on the block, it was quite a relief.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Congrats. That is a story to get you boosted for a good career. So, flip side, you and I worked together. While I was doing sales, you were still doing marketing. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about a time, either you could have it now or at Flywheel, or even like past previous jobs where you've worked at. Where is a example where either A, you wish you had enablement to help solidify an answer or a solution for you, or B, the relationship that you had with enablement wasn't as great as you wish it would? Like what were the learning points from those moments that you wish or could have improved on?
I think I think I answered on it partially in my last answer, but I think what I'm coming to realize is that the SDRs, the sales team, the account managers, like these people are essentially doing my like qualitative research for me, right? Like I can look at Google Analytics and HubSpot Analytics and Facebook metrics, and I can look at all this data and see like what ads are performing well. But when it comes down to like why they're performing well, I really don't have that kind of data handy. So it doesn't really come until I talk to the sales team and the enablement team and other marketing and analysts to understand what that why is behind the success or failures. So I think my something that I've had to really learn and utilize recently that I wasn't doing so great at before is just hearing a sales rep come to me and say, hey, we are seeing huge success with this very specific SQL trigger. Can we get more of that, please? And me just kind of like putting my blinders on to that request and focusing on the other like 10 SQL triggers or the other, OKRs that have nothing to do with that trigger. And it wasn't really until like the third or fourth week of the month, they came to me and said, hey, like we're still seeing great progress with that. Could we get a boost? And so I boosted it. And it's just like, I wish I could illustrate to you effectively what the boost in sales and conversions were from like me just being like, oh yeah, I'm going to pay attention to your request and go do that now. It's literally like, here's the progress for the month. And then I made those changes and it was just like, boom, it was like that, like essentially. Right. So I guess my failure was essentially not listening to the team that I should be listening to or not taking their like input into consideration as strongly. And I think that that's a huge issue from what I can tell with other marketing and sales departments and other companies is like marketing just wants to be left alone to do marketing and sales just wants to be left alone to do sales. But I think what I've noticed at Flywheel anyway is that when the two are interactive and are working with each other side by side every day, side by side, whatever that looks like during COVID, I think that a lot of great things can happen and success happens when you open those relationships up.
Yeah, it's almost like your enablement partner is a translator that helps bring the message of sales to marketing. And I think from my experiences in the enablement field, working with marketing, it is, you're very much right. Like sales wants to do just the sales aspect and marketing just wants to do the marketing aspect. So when enablement comes in, it really does break that mold from one person to the other and translate the meaning or the request or whatever it could be from one end to the other. So yeah, I totally could understand where that comes from. So I love this question. I was asked of it one time during an interview myself, so I have to stick with it. It's great. But if you had a magic wand, an unlimited budget, what would be your ideal solution or ideal workflow or partnership with your enablement team going forward?
That's such a hard question because B2B and SaaS marketing is so new to me still that I'm like terrified. I'm going to say an answer and you're going to be like, dude, you can do that in like HubSpot or whatever. So I'm going to go a little bit more abstract with it and just say like, I wish that every day for 5 minutes, I could just have a meeting with sales and marketing where we just cover the absolute most important shit from the previous day. And it's like, it's literally just headlines. It's like, hey, we saw a boost in agency partner program applications. This is probably why. Cool. Next thing, like not even diving deeper into it. No, like, hey, how's the weather there in Texas? Just like straight to the point. Like, these are the facts from yesterday. These are up, these are down. And then we kind of just disperse and go about it. There's no debate. There's no like theorizing of like why that might be. because, man, I just like, that's my wand, because I've been on the side of the fence where it's like, I don't know what's going on. And I always worry that that communication isn't being fluid enough to where I'm like, I'm paranoid in advertisements, right? I'm like, we have, for an example, so like, just, we have this, a workshop that we just launched. It's a free workshop. You can sign up for it for free, just with your email. And it helps web designers understand different pricing strategies. Like, do you want to charge hourly? Do you charge by project? Or there's a third one. And it kind of covers all the three different strategies, and which, like, it kind of says, all right, now go pick which one works best for you. It could be any of these. But just in like a passive conversation that wasn't even about that, I just happened to overhear, like, oh, the leads coming from that pricing workshop are converting to customers really well. And like, that wasn't a fact that, has been brought up before. This is a new project. So, I mean, maybe that makes sense. But the point is, maybe they've known that now for 4 days or 5 days. And by the time I hear it and take action on that, it's like 6 or 7 days. We're looking at like a week that has gone by that I could have maybe put more budget into that or more attention into it. Honestly, it was just a top of funnel ad. I was like, this might get us some leads. Who knows what's going to happen? We didn't know. We had no idea the actual quality of the leads that we would get from that. And if that just like passive conversation didn't happen to come through my ears during a different topic, I never would have known that. And I never would have been able to craft the September ad strategy like I did. So like, yeah, man, magic wand, bam, 5 minute, like, cap it at 5 minutes. These are the facts that are happening right now, just facts, and go about your day. And maybe you fix one of those, or maybe you do something about it. But yeah, that's my wand.
That's awesome. And that's huge. I think communication, everybody that I've interviewed so far, communication's been top key on all of that. So I'm not even one bit surprised that comes down to it on the magic wand. I think everybody so far has had that answer. So
Sweet.
I think that's spot on. Yeah. So, Davey, we're almost done here, wrapping it all up. What advice do you have for anybody that's from a marketing perspective working with enablement, or just jumping into a new company or new with enablement at that, perspective as well too?
Don't be afraid to look like an idiot, I guess. I think that was like, originally that was my biggest fear, because I come from like having started or ran 2 agencies previously, one of which I worked with you at, Matt.
Right.
And so like, when I came into this company, I was like, well, I have to pretend like I know everything. And like, I'm a top dog. I was a top dog there, and here I'm not, So I thought I had to come in and just act like a tough guy. And I think that lasted about a week before I was just like, hey, what's an MQL? Like, and I mean, those are the dumb questions that I think, yeah, I don't know. You can't be afraid to ask those. You can't be afraid to look like an idiot. And I think at this point, I challenge myself every day to look like an idiot in front of my team. And they could probably confirm that, to be honest. So that's number one. Don't be afraid to ask. If you think it's a dumb question, it's not. If it's a question, it's probably been asked by your peers 1,000 times before. People don't just come to your company knowing automatically every time what an MQL or an SQL is, or what a lead score process looks like, or whatever it is. Like, these things, everyone has to learn them for the first time at some point. Number 2 is befriend the marketing analyst. Bring them a candy bar every week. Do whatever you can to be in their good graces, because I have learned that, and we have a great marketing analyst. Her name is Julie. And, this is the person that, in marketing, especially in paid marketing, there's always that conversation of ROI. Everyone wants to know, what's the return on our investment on all of these ads? And it's also probably the most difficult conversation to have in my seat, because I don't always know the answer. Because it depends. Like, do you want to look at first touch or last touch or multi-touch attribution? And it's a difficult conversation to have, especially if you're the only paid person. So in my position, it's like I lean heavily on Julie because she has the data. There's no biases in Julie's eyes. There's no biases in a marketing analyst. Then number 3 is I just said the marketing analyst, making sure that you're like the BFFs with them. You also want to make sure that you are in tight with the sales enablement person or the team. In my case, it's a person, but they are the liaison between marketing and sales and product in our case, and really the cheerleader for all these projects we have going on. And quite honestly, usually my midday therapist on a bad day or a good day, I don't know. So yeah, I think if you look at my 3 tips, 2 of them actually involve people and like just having that kind of community around you. And I think that that's super, super important.
Davey, I greatly appreciate you jumping on. I know that your life has been a little hectic. Congrats on moving as well too. So moving houses, moving companies, all within 6 months. It's been a busy life for you.
And having a baby.
I was going to get there too. It's been huge. So props to you, man. You're keeping your head afloat. Definitely appreciate it. Any last words that you got before we sign off for the day?
They have these like kid zone businesses where kids can go just jump around and play basketball on a trampoline. Matt, dude, we got to make one that's like Big Brother comps that adults can just go and compete against each other in.
Absolutely.
I think about that every time I watch Big Brother. I'm like, man, I would own this competition.
I love it. Once again, guys, Davey Owens from Flywheel. Davey, greatly appreciate everything that you did today. It's been great. Guys, check us out next week. We've got another episode. I've got Russell coming in from Showpad. He has a vast knowledge from engineering to product to making sure that he's worked with the enablement teams. In fact, he's now part of the enablement team himself. So Russell from Showpad coming up next week. Davey, thanks again, man. I appreciated everything.
He sounds way better than me, man. All right. Thank you, Matt. Good talking.